Good afternoon, everyone. We are excited this afternoon to have as our featured guest expert, Dr. Iyanla Vanzant. Dr. Vanzant is a six-time New York Times bestselling author and multiple NAACP Image Award winner. As an influential, socially engaged spiritual life coach, she is the executive producer and host of the critically acclaimed Iyanla Fix My Life on Oprah Winfrey Network. Dr. Vanzant's focus on faith, empowerment, and loving relationships has inspired millions around the world. We are so excited to have her back to Howard University. Welcome, Dr. Vanzant.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
We're excited to have you back, and we're open to whatever you have to say to us this afternoon.
Well, I saw from the opening, wellness begins with me. I think that is so apropos, considering that we're coming out of this pandemic and the whole concept of wellness and how we live in wellness. So I would love to speak to that for a few moments, but I think I would also like to know how I can be of service and support to the audience. What do they want to know? Because I could talk forever about everything, including the reruns of Law and Order. As a lawyer that's not practicing, I have to stay on top of my skills with Law and Order. But this whole concept of wellness, one of the things that became very clear to me when we first were in lockdown as a result of the pandemic is that people, many people were, shall I say, possessed, is the word I will use, possessed by the spirit of the doo-doo. The spirit of the doo-doo. And this is a real thing. It's a real thing that forces us to do, that we always have to do something, that we have more to do, that we're planning for what to do next, and we're wondering what we didn't do, and we got too much to do or have to find more to do. It's the spirit of the doo-doo. And that spirit, which is supported and promoted all over the world, was totally exorcised during the pandemic when we were forced to sit down, when we were forced to be still, when we were forced, or shall I say, spiritually, universally nudged into a state of quiet, into a state of calm. And wellness, the being well, or the state of wholeness, the state of wellness, the state of groundedness within mind, body, spirit, and all of our affairs comes from, grows from, is supported by this whole notion of stillness. But as long as we are chasing the spirit of the doo-doo, as long as we are possessed by the need to always do, to do more, to do less, to do it right, don't do it wrong, to do it for them, to do it for us, and particularly those of us in a serving capacity, you know, the spirit of the doo-doo loves us. It nibbles on our toes all the time. And just to have 15 minutes of sitting down with nothing to do makes us feel like we are totally guilty and going straight to hell. People are not comfortable with the first place wellness and wholeness begins, which is stillness and quiet. And that is the way that we can really take care of ourselves. Because taking care of ourselves is not only a gift of kindness and compassion to our souls, it's also a gift to God's source creator that we serve. Because the better we are for ourselves within ourselves, the greater service we can be in the world. So I asked myself, and I asked many people, you know, why is it that you always got to have something to do? Why can't you just be? And many of them didn't know what I was talking about. We know what to do, but we don't know how to be. And we don't know what to be when we don't have something to do. Wholeness starts with me and my state of being. It starts with really asking the question of ourselves, how am I going to be today? Even in my doing, how am I going to be? You see, the first issue that most of us really need to conquer, really need to address, really need to investigate, really need to examine, to explore is how I be with myself. We all have challenges, we all have issues, and how we handle the issues and the challenges and the difficulties, that's one thing. But the real key to wholeness, to wellness, is how do I handle myself as I handle the issues? Do I push myself? Do I drag myself? Do I judge myself? Do I criticize myself? How I handle myself as I handle the issue is the issue. And for many, 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 the issue is not knowing how to be and what to be. So if wholeness, wellness begins with stillness, how are you going to be in your stillness? How are you going to be in your silence? What do you mean, Iyanla? What do you talk about? I'm a be. I'm going to be alive. I'm going to be black. I'm going to be a woman. I'm going to be a man, straight, gay, married, single. No, 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 no. Are you going to be patient with yourself? Patient is a state of being. And very often we force ourselves into a doing because we're not patient with our process, with our growing, with our unfolding, with our healing, with our learning. Patience is a state of being. Am I going to be patient with myself as I walk through whatever this challenge, this difficulty is? Because I can't be patient with anyone else until I learn how to be patient with myself. Patient with my upsets, patient with my shortcomings, patient with my breakdowns, patient with my learning process. How am I going to be with myself today? Am I going to be patient with me so that I can share and demonstrate patience in the world? Very often, when we are possessed or addicted to the spirit of the doo-doo, patience is the first thing out the window. How am I going to be? Am I going to be trusting of myself, of my intuition, of my innate knowing? Or when I get uncomfortable in a place of not being sure what's going on and what to do, am I going to reach out? Am I going to numb my feelings? Am I going to deny my fear? Am I going to cover or hide my anger? Or am I going to trust that what I feel and what's coming up for me is here to teach me? And before I shove it outside or project it onto somebody, am I going to get still so that I can understand what's going on in here and trust that what comes up, what I feel, what I know is here to teach me? And can I be patient with whatever my learning process is? Sometimes you got to learn something over and over and over. There are many areas in my life, where I spent many years in special ed, doing the same thing over and over and over because I couldn't get the lesson. And relationships were one of those areas where I had to repeat the class and the final and the midterm. I had to rewrite the paper over and over and over because how I was being with myself in the midst of my difficulties in relationships was brutal, judgmental, angry that I couldn't get it right. How are you going to be? How are you going to be with yourself today from a place of stillness and wholeness and wellness? Because when we don't handle those issues and challenges, and when we're not well, good, kind, loving to ourselves, as we move through our issues and difficulties and challenges, we become beasts in the world. And we treat other people with the same level of brutality that we treat ourselves. And then when they tell us about it, we get mad at them. Feedback from the world is simply, very often, a demonstration, a communication, an opportunity for you to look at how you're being with yourself inside. Am I going to be loving today? Now, that's a hard one because many of us have very different concepts and ideas about what love is, how we learn love, and how we experience love. But love is really at the ground, at the root, at the core, positive regard and unconditional acceptance. Positive regard. Am I going to have positive regard for myself, even though I'm doing the same crazy mint over and over and over? Am I going to have positive regard for myself? And am I going to have unconditional acceptance of who I am right now? One of the reasons we have difficulty being, one of the reasons we have difficulty being still is because rather than being present in the moment, we're running from the past. We don't want what we experienced before to happen again. So rather than be present in the moment and choose from that place, we're running from the past and making choices and decisions to avoid the past. We're being backwards focused as opposed to presently centered. Am I going to be loving with myself in this moment, regardless of what I did or didn't do in the past, regardless of the mistakes I made in the past, regardless of how I'm moving forward? Am I going to be loving with myself in this moment? Because if my cup is filled with love for myself, then I can give to others from the overflow. How am I going to be patient, trusting, loving? Am I going to be aware? Oh, if I really wanted to be a billionaire, I would sell self-awareness in lovely little boxes with bows on it. Because if we could just be aware, as opposed to in denial of our shortcomings, in denial of our needs. You know, when I used to coach individually and I really wanted to blow people's mind to get them really grounded and rooted so we could have coaching, you know what I'd say to them? What do you want? What do you want? Oh my God. Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't ask you what you didn't want, beloved. What do you want? In the deepest recesses of your soul, when nobody's looking, what do you want? And so very often, because we haven't gotten still enough, because we don't trust our instincts, because we're so busy in the matrix of what other people told us we should do and have to do and want to do and need to do. We're so busy living up in that matrix that we haven't really gotten still. What do you want? And do you trust that what comes forward for you is coming forward to nurture your soul? How are you going to be? Are you going to be honest about what you want so that the universe can begin to bring you into those experiences and situations where you can have it? Are you going to be really clear about what you want? Or are you going to stay focused on what you think you should do? First of all, to please those around you. Second of all, to live up to what you've been told about yourself. And third of all, because you're afraid to get still and feel. What do you want right now? Not based on what you didn't have, but what do you want right now? Deep question, investigate it. How are you going to be? Patient, trusting, loving to yourself. How are you going to be moment by moment, day by day? Because that is your ticket to wholeness and to wellness. How are you going to be in the difficult times? Some of us, I think, are addicted to drama. Although we're big Mary J. fans and can sing no more drama, sometimes I think we look for it. We investigate it. We call it in. How are you going to be? Peaceful or dramatic? So very often we think that if nothing is going on, if there's no upset, if there's no a body to save, if there's no one who needs us, that something is wrong. So we look for the drama. We look for the confusion. We look for the problem to solve. We look for the fight. How are you going to be? Peaceful or dramatic? Big question. And particularly for women, and particularly for, let's just go there, women of color, because we think that our job is to save every darn body. And so as soon as somebody calls with a problem and upset, this is going on, that's going on, we think that we got to jump in and save it. So there is a beautiful, beautiful song that's #1 on the charts in Trinidad right now. And I'm taking that song on as my brand new theme. You know what the name of the song is? Drink water and mind your business. Drink water and mind your business. Anybody over 18 has the God-given authority and capacity to solve their own problems. Drink water and mind your business. Be hydrated and still and peaceful. How you going to be? The savior to the world or the salvation of yourself? So if wholeness begins with me, and I'm thinking that we're each saying that, wholeness begins with me, you've got to start investigating how you be and how attached you are to the spirit of the doo-doo and how attached the spirit of the doo-doo is to you. Because here's the thing. Everything that we need to create whatever it is we want and desire, we already have, but it's within. It's inside. Your healing, your success, your guidance, your assistance, your everything you need, it's inside. And I believe that's why the spirit of the doo-doo draws us out. Do this, do that, do this for them, do this now, do this. Because it knows that if we start going in, it will have less and less to do. So, are you going to be spirit-centered or ego-driven? Are you going to develop your drive, or you are going to allow yourself to be driven by the ego? The ego meaning that voice inside that always references you outside. Your daily spiritual practice. Your daily spiritual practice. And it doesn't matter what that is, but it means that you check in with yourself and with something greater and higher than you each and every day so that you can be spiritually grounded and centered rather than being ego-driven and directed. How you going to be? You want to be whole? How you going to be? So, as we move into these very powerful, powerful times, because it's powerful energy going on out here right now. Look at today, 2/22/2022. Powerful, powerful, powerful. And 2 is about balance. 2 is about, the number 2 is about balance, and it's about connection, and it's about creation, and it's about relationships. And for some of us, those are the places that we do the most and get the least rewards. Okay? If wellness begins with me, or you, or us, the weller you are, the weller you are, the more whole you are, the more grounded, the more centered you are within yourself, then the more grounded and centered and present you're going to be with me. Your daily spiritual practice. Learn how to breathe. Because for many of us, as we're doing and doing and doing and rushing around, we don't breathe. Wait. Breathe. Breathe. Listen. Listen. That means you got to stop doing and be still. And have compassion for yourself and be patient with yourself if you can only be still for 3 minutes. 3 is better than none. But if you do the 3, every little effort will grow. Eventually you'll do 5, and then you'll do 7, and then you'll do 20. Just be in your practice. Listen, breathe, inquire within. I love that. Have you ever gone on right now, there's so many signs that say help wanted, help wanted, help wanted, right? Inquire within. But if you weren't with a store, if you were not at a store, you have a big sign on your chest to the universe that says help wanted. Don't you want help? Well, inquire within. And you don't even need to put a mask on. Yeah, go in to get your help so that you can be more grounded in the center of yourself as opposed to driven by all of the outside world. So that is what I would share with you. And I want to tell you a quick story. And then I guess if you have a question, you can put it in the chat and I'll try to address some. So I'm not just the one talking, okay? So Sunday, I was in my kitchen cooking. And because I still do the old time, have your dinner done by 3. That's what my grandma taught me. And my great-grandson had gone out for the day, and I thought he was coming back. So I hear this boom, boom on my door from the garage that leads into the house. I hear boom, boom. And so I'm waiting. Nobody ever came in. So I go and I open the door to the garage, and there is a beast. There is a beast. It was at least 3.5 feet tall. And from what I could see, it looked like a German Shepherd. And I'm like, what in the blazing bejesus? Okay. But the garage door was open. But I live in the bush. Okay. And the people around here, they keep their dogs on leashes. I would most expect to see a chicken or a goat at my door, but not a loose dog. So I slammed the door. I took a breath because I had a choice. How am I going to be with myself right now? Am I going to be held prisoner in my house by a 4-legged animal, or am I going to figure out what's going on? How am I going to be in this moment? Okay. I'm not afraid of dogs. I love animals. So I opened the door again, and he was down the stairs, or it was down the stairs, kind of toward the door. And I went outside and I looked at it. And sometimes in being grounded and centered and present with yourself, you have to be observant. Sometimes we move so fast, we don't even observe. So I observed this creature, and I noticed 2 things. Number one, it had a collar on, a leather collar with little studs, which says to me, okay, this the animal belongs to somebody. So either they put it out or it got lost. And the other thing I noticed was its ribs were showing. It's hungry. This thing is looking for food. It didn't advance towards me. It didn't ground towards me. So instead of being freaked out about the strange dog in my garage, I took a breath and I got centered and I looked at it. And I said, go. And it went. I said, okay, well, this is interesting. This is how I know this is somebody's dog. So very often we make assumptions without even an investigation or an experiment to tell us what is going on in front of us. But when we think we have to do something as opposed to being something, so right now, I'm going to be the alpha dog because you in my garage. Okay. So I went down the stairs now. Now here was the challenge. I have 2 little Pomeranians. Peace and freedom. Okay. Peace and freedom. And they're about this big. They each weigh about 4 pounds, and they were outside in their pen. Peace and freedom would have been lunch to this beast. Okay. So now I'm trying to figure out, Lord, if that dog jump in the pen, he going to eat Peace first because she's the smallest. She's about a mouthful. Now, Peace, I got from the Amish Pennsylvania farmers up in Pennsylvania where they never see the Black person. When I went up there to get the dog, it made the newspapers. So I called Peace my little country girl. She's my Becky. Freedom is all Black, head to toe, even her eyes. I got her out of Harlem. So Freedom is sitting there looking at like, this is very interesting. I've never seen anything like this. I don't know what this is. That's how Freedom was responding. Freedom, okay, responded to this 3.5-foot German Shepherd beast with, just total acceptance. Peace, on the other hand, Becky from Amish country was having a fit. I said, oh, you are just, please stop yourself. She never stopped barking. Anyway, I go outside. I see the dog is emaciated. So I go in the house and I get a bowl and I fill it up with food. And I take it outside and I give it to Beastly. I don't know what her name is. And she was just, I thought she was going to eat the glass bowl. I said, oh my God, this dog is lost. She's trained and she's starving. So now, being the obsessive great grandmother that I am, I go in the house and I get a can of food. I bring the can of food outside and I'm putting that in with the dry food. The dog is licking the can, licking me, licking the bowl. But now I've got a plan. I said, okay, I'm going to distract her with the canned food so that I can get Becky out the pen, because I really didn't know what was going to happen if I took them two dogs past this strange dog. So I go and I get Peace and Freedom, Becky and Harlem. I get them out the cage. I got them under my coat and I'm going inside while the dog is eating. And I came back outside and she was there. She came back in the garage. I said, go. She went. I said, sit. She sat. I said, come. She came. I was like, oh my God, this is somebody's dog. What do I do? So I closed the garage. I left her outside. She circled my house. She just kept circling the land, circling the land. So my son came and he said, who is that beast outside? I said, I don't know. She just showed up. He said, I'm going to drive through the neighborhood and see if I see any signs, because obviously she's somebody's dog. And he did that. And he put the dog, he opened his car door. The dog jumped in the car. So he took the dog with his son, and so my son now has a German Shepherd. And Becky and Harlem, they're doing good. Here's my point. So very often, unexpected things come into our life. And if we are not being who we are, we will react and respond and think we have to do something, make all sorts of wrong assessments, take ourselves through drama and trauma that's unnecessary, when all we have to do is be. Be. So, my dogs didn't get eaten, and the beast got a home, and all it cost me was a can of dog food. Be. Your wholeness, your wellness begins with how you be. Yeah. So, how would I take a question? I don't see any in the thread. How do we begin the transition from helping everyone else to doing us first? Prayer, your daily spiritual practice, and inquiring within, what would you have me do today? You see, one of the reasons we think we have to help everyone, and particularly for women and women of color, we have to help everyone because we haven't been taught our own value and worth. And we get our value and worth from what we do as opposed to from who we are. But when you start doing your practice and deepen your practice, and you get still and you inquire within and you love on yourself and you're patient with yourself, you know who you are. Yeah. And you're able to seek the queen as opposed to hanging out in the village with the commoners. That's not to put anybody down. I'm just saying you grow up that part of you. And then as the queen, you'll know when to go and serve and be with the commoners. That's not a put down of anybody. I'm talking about how to manage your energy, because there's sometimes you got to sit in the throne, drink water, and mind your business. And then there's other times you got to put on your boots and go out there with the commoners. But you can't make that up. And you have to know your value and your worth first. Otherwise, you'll waste your precious energy. I hope that helps. Do you have advice? Oh my God, I don't give advice at all. I can't. Do you know how crazy I am on any given Sunday? I can't give you no advice. I can just share with you what I've experienced. How do I handle myself in stillness? I do not know how to be still and patient with myself, because you have to learn. And it's unloving to ask yourself to do something that you don't know how to do, something you weren't taught to do. So start with 3 minutes. Start with 3 minutes. This, I don't know if this is appropriate or not. But if it's not, please forgive me, but I'm going to do it. I have an app called Mindful Mind Matters. Yeah. And it's long and short meditations, guided meditations that you can use to support yourself. There's a 7-minute one, there's a 20-minute one, but you've got to learn. You have to learn how to be still. And I'm telling you, 3 minutes a day of just focusing. There's an exercise that I learned many, many years ago where you sit in a chair, you drop your hands to the side, and you sit just for 3 minutes, and then for 5 minutes, and then for 7 minutes. Just sit. The first part is to control the physical body. So it doesn't matter what you think about, what you do with your mouth, but until you can sit for a full 7 minutes without moving your body, you have to continue to do that exercise. Then you elevate the exercise. So the next level is you drop your hands to your side. You now have command over your physical body. Now you begin to take command over your mind. So you start with 3 minutes without a thought. And if a thought comes, you just let it go. You don't engage it. You don't sing the whole song. You just sing the first 2 words. And you learn, how long can I sit? You start with 3 minutes of just, your body's now still because you mastered that. Now you've got to master your mind. And there's a whole nother level of it, but that's where I would start. 3 minutes of just mastering my body so that I can master my mind. Okay? How do we know which ancestral survival practices to take with us? Don't take any survival practices with you, because the things that our ancestors faced, we no longer face. We no longer face on many levels. There are some things we do face, but our approach to those things have to be different. So don't take any survival practices with you. What you may want to take is the spiritual practices, or the traditional practices, or the cultural practices. You understand? But they have to be practices that serve you. Because our ancestors were worried about wild animals and eating them up. They were worried about unpredictable weather. They were worried about surviving, food. There's so many things that they were concerned about that we're not concerned about, that we have to elevate. And the other thing is, what is it that you're looking to do? Because some of the things that our ancestors did, we throw them away quite readily. Okay? But then we're worried about other parts of it. So what is it that you're trying to accomplish? And what practices are you bringing in to your life? I just did a program called Healing Ancestral Patterns, because one of the practices that many of the practices that our ancestors, particularly Black and Red people, had were based on lack and scarcity and fear. And the lack and the scarcity that they experience, we don't experience, but we still think like that. Eat all the food on your plate because you never know when you're going to get no more. Yes, you do. You're going to get some more tomorrow when you walk right over there to a Chipotle. Hold on to everything because you never know, Some of those things we don't need no more, but we still think like that. So it's not the practices, it's the consciousness, elevating the consciousness, and you'll know which practices serve you and which ones don't, and how to evolve the ones. For example, one of the practices that our ancestors had was Sunday dinner. Sunday dinner was huge. Grandma, mama, big mama, Medea, they got up early in the morning. And by the time y'all went to Sunday school and came back, dinner was done. Now we eating out of styrofoam boxes that are brought to us by Uber Eats. Okay, why don't we do that? Why don't we go back to Sunday dinner, where everybody who lives under the roof sits at the table, looks each other in the face, and have a conversation with them, not Facebook? How about that? That's a practice. Want to embrace that one? That might work. How do you create space for yourself when you're surrounded by people who refuse to heal or even contemplate awareness? That's called an excuse. That's called an excuse. You can create space for yourself in the bathtub, 20 minutes, 3 times a week. You can create space for yourself on the toilet, where you go sit in there and close the door. You can create space for yourself any place in your home and say, this is my space. Don't go there. Don't touch me. Don't, when I'm there, don't talk to me. And using other people as an excuse. So let's see if you can receive this. Okay. At all times, in all situations, under all circumstances, there's no one in the room but you and God. At all times, in all situations, under all circumstances, there is no one in the room but you and God, God's source creator. So what you're seeing is either an aspect of you or an aspect of God. Now, if it's not love, peace, power, wisdom, compassion, if it's not transformational, if it's not healing, it ain't God, it's you. So those people that you're looking at represent an aspect of you that either you're unaware of or that you're in judgment of. So your job, now that you see it, is to take command and dominion of your consciousness and find a way to bring yourself to a higher level. And they'll either rise with you or they'll slip away. There's nobody in the room but you and God. So are you telling God, look at these people, I don't have time to create space for myself? Or are you going to tell a part of you that doesn't know what to do? This is what we're doing. Come here, sit down, drink water, and mind your business. I had to relearn lessons over and over, just like me, as it relates to people's character. How can I be complete with peace with at how can I be at complete peace with my solitude? Are you talking solitude or separation? There's a difference. People's character don't have anything to do with you. Your judgment of their character. Remember I said love is positive regard and unconditional acceptance. Accept people exactly as they are and then choose whether or not you're going to be with them. I've got some wackadoodles in my family. Wackadoodles, okay? Crazy to the third power. Foolishness on a stick. Okay. A real special dose of crazy. And I deal with them twice a year. That's it. But when they call me, I talk to them. I'm real clear about what I will do and won't do, because there's either an aspect of me or an aspect of God. And they are an aspect of God. And they're coming into my life to help me practice patience and compassion and clarity. They're coming into my life to help me practice that. Because right where they are, the fullness of God is also. They may not know it, but I need to know it. So there's a difference between solitude and separation. If you're separating yourself because of the judgments that you make of other people's character, that's not going to turn out well for you. That's not. Accept people as they are and choose how you're going to deal with them. I have crazy in my house in every room twice a year. And other than that, it's a text and a phone call. Okay. Who else? Is that it? Okay. Well, I hope you got something good here today. I hope that this will help you. Again, how you're going to be, compassionate, trusting, loving, understanding how you handle the issue, grounded within yourself, positive, have positive regard for yourself and everyone else, unconditional acceptance for which you make a choice. Wholeness begins with you and how you be with yourself, not what you do.
Wow. Thank you so much. I hope you have a minute just to share where our audience can find you and your resources and just the tremendous work that you're doing throughout the world. And we're looking forward.
Oh, well, Iyanla.com. I know people can't say it, but they can spell it. Iyanla, Iyanla, Iyanla.com. And that'll kind of keep you in touch with where I am right now. My biggest joy right now is every Sunday I'm doing a class, the Spiritual Study Sanctuary, where people from all over the world come together. And we are exploring ancient spiritual texts and what I'm doing. Because so very often, Dean, we read stuff, we get stuff, and it gets really good, but we don't know how to integrate it into our lives. We don't know how to make it practical and useful every day. So I'm looking at some real classic spiritual texts. Right now, we're finishing up Mental Equivalence by Emmett Fox. And then we're going to Go to the Places That Scare You by Pema Chodron, and really breaking it down and investigating it. So all the books that we've done are on my site under Spiritual Sanctuary. You can buy the tapes of everything. We've done the 7 Main Aspects of God by Emmett Fox, Practicing the Presence by Joel Goldsmith, and God Works Through You by Robert A. Russell. And all of those investigations are online. So, but at iyanla.com, you can get in touch with me.
All tremendous books. What a blessing you've been. And it's been too long. I think it was many years last time you were here for, I think it was our Religious Emphasis Week.
Yes.
But it's so good hearing you again, and I hope that you will come back.
Anytime.
Please. Thank you so much.
Now, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put in my resume for a spot in the faculty. That's what I'm going to do.
That's what you want. All right.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Fantastic.
Okay. Have a great and wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.